Welcome, fellow colonists. Today we're diving deep into the grim and fascinating world of medicine and diseases in Rimworld. While I usually cover the lore aspect of the various elements in Rimworld and its universe, illnesses and diseases, unsurprisingly, don't have as much of a story attached to them. What I'm going to be focusing on instead is going to be exploring these diseases from a medical point of view, while also discussing on the various diseases that are unique to the Rimworld and its universe. With this being said, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more future content, and let's begin. Let's start this analysis with the following assumption. The gravity of a disease within Rimworld, and especially within its universe, is completely different from planet type to planet type. It has been clearly established that worlds are technologically advanced to the point of being able to resurrect the dead if the corpses are well preserved, alongside being medically advanced to the point of being capable of curing any kind of sickness. Personally, I won't be surprised if worlds had developed a universal vaccine to prevent any type of illness in the first place. On the other hand, worlds are described as being generally harsh places to live in, despite their great advancement in technology. We can assume that medicine made some definitive progress on worlds as well, but given their dystopian thematic elements surrounding them, it will be fair to assume that medical care is not something readily accessible to just every single person, and disease might still be a problem, especially within poor or underdeveloped communities. But Rimworlds, it's where it's at. Planets inhabited by no more than a handful of colonies, having to fully depend on their own knowledge, medical experience, and whatever medicine they can manage to scavenge, craft, or trade. So let's start with the more medical side of things. Just what kind of medicine do people living on Rimworlds have access to? Enter the heal root. The heal root is a type of plant which, indicative to its name, it's the foundation of medicine, especially on Rimworlds. The heal root plant is rather delicate, but it's often harvested by people as its medical properties are well recognized across the universe, allowing the creation of herbal medicine, a concoction of heal root extracts which can be used for a variety of medical purposes, such as lowering chances of infection in an open wound, fighting fever, and boosting the immunity system. Extremely popular, especially among technologically underdeveloped tribal colonies, which refer to the heal root plant as the healer's hand. Herbal medicine is not a miracle cure, but it is far better than nothing at all, and is readily accessible by simply foraging it in the wild. The way heal root came to be is rather interesting. Heal root is the result of various settlers selectively breeding various plants renowned for their medicinal purposes together. But it wasn't always like that, as during its initial development phases, this plant had a different aspect, and it was referred to as Zeridium. It took a few years for it to become the heal root that can now be found over most planets that can support a wild ecosystem. Its seeds most likely intentionally spread by terraforming agencies during the terraforming period of a planet in order to give future settlers an easily accessible medical solution to minor health concerns. Realistically speaking though, herbal medicine is just not going to cut it for more serious health concerns, and that's when industrial tech medicine comes. A complete step up from herbal medicine, industrial medicine kits come fully equipped with a variety of basic substances such as painkillers, anti-inflammatories, and antibiotics, along with a set of medical tools and diagnostic devices. This too is a common type of medicine found in Rimworlds, as it can be either traded for or crafted with relative ease. Creating such a medical kit requires mainly three ingredients: cloth, most likely used for bandages, gauzes, and sterilized pads, and herbal medicine, which can be further refined through the use of neutramin, a chemical compound often obtained from orbital traders, which is used to further enhance and refine herbal medicine. At the very top of the medical hierarchy are Glitterworld medical packs, which are the rarest type of medicine found on Rimworlds. These advanced kits, obtainable only through trade with off-world traders, are essentially a universal solution to almost any medical problem. They contain multi-use tool for all purposes, mechanites that rapidly diagnose the patient, and advanced healing assistants that provide aid during surgeries. Unfortunately, Glitterworld medicine is a luxury that many colonies on Rimworlds cannot afford, making them highly coveted. Of course, the medicine I have mentioned is just one of many factors that can affect the outcome of medical treatment, or if they completely justified and totally not morally bankrupt a mass organ harvesting operation. Other factors include the quality of the hospital, if one even exists to begin with, the cleanliness of the environment, and most importantly, the medical expertise of the doctor itself. While it's unknown what kind of diseases exist across the entire universe, Rimworlds certainly are not lacking in that field, and they present a variety of mostly fatal airborne pathogens or insufficiently researched maladies capable of decimating unprepared colonies. It is safe to assume that at the very least a few of these pathogens did not naturally appear on Rimworlds and were rather brought in by external factors. If you're wondering about what those factors could possibly be, then let's go over them together. Let's start off with the Cryptosleep revival briefing. If you're unaware of it, it's a document written by Tynan himself, the developer of Rimworld, in order to offer some exposition on the game's lore and universe. In the document, the reader is presented the point of view of a person who just freshly awakened from cryptosleep on the planet Euterpe. We are not given more details regarding our own identity, excepting the fact that we have been sourced from a midworld with over 2 million people in its population. With our memories hazy and finding ourselves in a state of confusion, we find a document detailing to us that many years have passed since we entered cryptosleep and the universe has changed significantly, with the document detailing all of these changes. The important detail for this video though regards the document explaining the reason why we entered cryptosleep to begin with. The reason was that we had gotten ill from an incurable disease at the time, and we entered cryptosleep with hopes of being cured someday, whether by being transported to a more medically advanced planet or simply awaiting a cure. It's important to note though that the planet we find ourselves in, Euterpe, is not a midworld. We have been transported from one planet to another in cryptosleep while possibly still bearing an incurable disease and infectious pathogen. I'm going to make a safe assumption and say that this isn't an uncommon process, and with the amount of ships occasionally crash landing through an emergency on a Rimworld, it wouldn't be impossible for one of them to be transporting a large amount of ill people destined to reach a medical facility, only for them now finding themselves stranded on a planet and spreading an unknown type of infectious disease. This without even taking into consideration the amount of disease that could be brought from world to world by orbital traders as they dabble in the biological matter market, buying, selling and trading food, meat, vegetables, sometimes even people from one planet to another. So we can safely assume that this is also a method through which disease could be spread from one planet to another. With this being established, let's start talking about what kind of disease we can encounter on a Rimworld. The most prevalent and dangerous affliction on the Rimworld is the infection that can develop from an open wound. Poor hygiene, inadequate sterilization, or insufficient medical care can quickly lead to an infection, making it a constant threat. Without access to proper antibiotics, a simple wound can escalate into a life-threatening condition, turning a minor injury into a deadly scenario. Infections are a type of disease old as time, most likely prevalent on planet types that don't have access to antibiotics, such as Rimworlds or medieval worlds. Another commonly encountered disease is the flu, including symptoms such as difficult breathing, impaired consciousness, and sometimes vomiting. The flu is luckily an easy disease to develop an immunity to, and while usually a comfortable bed, a few days of rest, and good nutritious meals might be enough to overcome it, the flu can still become deadly towards people with a weak or underdeveloped immunity system, such as the kids or the elderly, or certain xenotypes, such as the impids. Malaria is a rather nasty one, mostly transmitted by mosquito bites carrying the pathogen, especially within tropical jungles, where the high amount of humidity and abundant animal and plant life create the perfect environment for bacteria and viruses to develop and spread. Malaria symptoms will include high fever, nausea, vomiting, headaches, and pain within the joints and the muscles. If left untreated, this disease will rapidly kill anyone infected. The plague is an interesting one. While mostly gone nowadays, present only within certain rural areas of the world, it seems to have resurged within Rimworlds. Yersinia pestis, commonly referred to as the plague, is a disease that is transmitted mainly by an infected rodent or fleas. There are 3 types of different plagues, with each one far more severe than the previous: bubonic, septicemic, and pneumonic. The bubonic plague is the most common one, including but not limited to symptoms such as fever, headaches, nausea, and iconically painful and swollen lymph nodes. The septicemic plague is the result of the plague reaching your blood and the bacteria multiplying within it. It will cause a progressive tissue degradation leading to gangrene and organ failure, and it's usually the result of a complication of a bubonic or pneumonic plague, but can still occur by itself. The pneumonic plague is luckily the least common one, as it's also the deadliest. It's the result of the plague reaching your lungs and will result in respiratory failure within days. On Rimworlds, the plague causes frequent deaths, as it requires a level of medical care that colonies often lack. It can affect humans and animals alike. Following next, the African trypanosomiasis, commonly referred to as the sleeping sickness, is a disease exclusive to warm and humid biomes, such as rainforests or swamps. This particular disease will remain within a victim's body a long time, impairing consciousness and manipulation, causing pain within the body and vomiting. The name derives from the fact that this particular disease causes severe fatigue and sleep disturbances, making the affected victims feel extremely sleepy and fatigued during the day. Following up is the scaria, a disease similar to rabies, with the main difference that scaria affects animals exclusively. This disease will cause afflicted animals to become hyper-aggressive, not towards other animals, but particularly towards humans. Apart from the brain causing this hyperaggression, scaria will also affect the animal's internal organs and body, in most cases causing the body to decompose in a matter of seconds after its death, releasing an infectious gas that could further spread lung rot, which we will talk about next. While terrifying, scaria is a fully treatable disease, although it will require plenty of industrial-grade medicine and a skilled doctor to cure. This without taking into consideration that the animal must first be properly restrained. Interestingly enough, scaria seems to spread rapidly and suddenly within the wild, affecting large packs of animals at once, but no reliable reports of pets or tamed animals within colonies being affected by scaria have appeared so far. Lung rot is a fun one. Fatal once it escalates, lung rot is caused by the presence of corpses decaying within a person's proximity. An airborne disease, lung rot can be prevented through the use of a gas mask or more simply by disposing of corpses through burial, incineration, or family dinner. Just as the name suggests, lung rot affects the lungs and will cause pain within the chest and an increased difficulty in breathing, eventually leading to death if prolonged exposure is allowed. But let's tone it down a little and cover some of the non-fatal sicknesses. Cryptosleep sickness is a general after effect of cryptosleep pods usage. Cryptosleep is a process that suspends most functions while keeping the body alive, preventing aging and death. After awakening, the body will undergo a sudden shock, requiring a bit of time to rebalance its natural metabolic processes, thus rendering people nauseous, confused and disoriented, symptoms which will rapidly wear off after a few minutes. A similar effect will occur after exiting a biosculpting pod or a soft scanner machine. Food poisoning is a rather common ailment. It occurs within the body after consuming a contaminated meal, cooked within unhygienic conditions, or by consuming raw food. While not deadly, it will severely impair people affected by it, causing nausea, frequent vomiting, a reduced state of consciousness and pain, sometimes even knocking people unconscious. Parasites are also not uncommon within Rimworlds, splitting into multiple categories. Biological parasites can include gut worms, a type of parasite that will reside within a person's stomach, causing pain and nausea and increased hunger within the host. Not fatal, but definitely uncomfortable if left untreated. Similar to gut worms, muscle parasites can infest a person's body, impairing movement and manipulation and causing a strong sensation of fatigue and pain, which will cause the host to require twice as much sleep. Again, not fatal, but definitely troublesome if left untreated. Mechanite parasites are a fun batch. They will infest the victim's body, with the mechanites improving the host in certain areas, usually lasting for a long time. Fibrous mechanites will increase tiredness and fatigue and will be rather painful, but they will increase the host's manipulation and movement along with their blood pumping, effectively rendering them better workers, while sensory mechanites will increase, as the name suggests, the host's senses, improving sight and hearing and also manipulation along with speech. Other ailments induced by mechanites include the ones resulting from a resurrection. as Glitterwolds developed a serum capable of pumping mechanites inside of a deceased person, healing their body and kickstarting their vital processes back, essentially bringing them back from the dead, resurrection sickness will occur, as the body will undergo a great initial shock, which, similarly to cryptosleep sickness, will induce nausea and impaired movements. In rare cases, with the chances increasing depending on the body's decomposition, resurrection psychosis can occur, with the resurrection mechanites losing cohesion within the brain and causing chaotic thought patterns, eventually killing the host within 100 days, causing frequent mental breakdowns along the way and reducing consciousness. This type of sickness is not treatable under normal circumstances and will require the use of a mech healer serum, another type of medical serum capable of regenerating and healing a person's body, or the use of a second resurrector serum after death, with the hopes of psychosis not occurring again. Rarely encountered and unheard of by most medical experts, an anomalous parasite, referred to as metal horror, can also infect humans. The metal horror is a metallic parasite composed of metal filaments and blades, and it will reside within a person's body, mostly undetected. While dormant within their host's body, the metal horror will make use of its host to infect others, causing more metal horrors to appear dormantly within people's bodies. Upon discovery or reaching full maturity, this parasite will emerge violently within the victim's body, cutting its way out of its host's flesh and causing heavy hemorrhages, becoming highly aggressive and violent towards other humans. If left undisturbed, metal horrors will enter a hibernating state soon after. These parasites can be detected through an invasive surgery with the goal of thoroughly inspecting a possible host's body, achieved by essentially dissecting the host alive, while studying lumps of grey flesh that will be released occasionally by their hosts. Organ decay is just as bad as it sounds, with no natural cure requiring a mech healer serum targeted to the affected organ or by replacing the affected organ entirely. Organ decay will cause the affected organ to slowly decay into uselessness. So far, the pathogen causing this particular disease is unknown, making this disease apparent only when the first symptoms begin showing up. Similar to organ decay, blood rot is also a long-lasting disease that will require constant medical attention. This ailment is commonly encountered for undisclosed reasons within members of the Shattered Empire and will cause a rapid degradation within the victim's body if left untreated. Another ailment common to the members belonging to the Shattered Empire is paralytic abasia, an ailment that will cause complete paralysis within the victim's body, rendering them unable to move on their own and requiring outside assistance for tasks such as feeding. While not permanent, paralytic abasia will usually last for a while, with the duration differing from subject to subject. A treatment to repair paralytic abasia has been discovered through intensive study and care, but with the lack of medical facilities on Rimworlds, it will require the usage of 10 Glitterwold medicine packs and a decent doctor to perform the operation. With this, I have finished covering most diseases present within the Rimworld and its universe. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't hesitate to drop a like, subscribe to the channel for more similar content, and let me know down in the comments which disease you found to be the most interesting. With this, I wish you a good night, and I will see you in the next video.